Welcome to Bottom Line Sports Talk. I'm George Abram, you know my partner Albert Kim. And Albert, from time to time we do some special shows and we take a look at rivalries. We take a look at the greatest athletes in Ohio. We take a look at such. And today we're going to look with being a week from the All-Star game. I just want to give you some of my background. We're close to the same age. I can remember having a color TV when others didn't, and people would stop by because they used to play in the daytime. They had two.
Yeah, for 3 years they did. Yes, they did.
And when you guys hear Peacock, like you say, oh, the game's on Peacock. Well, that's owned by NBC, and they were the first to colorize the game.
That's why it's Peacock.
That's why it was called Peacock.
Yeah, no question.
But the first actual All-Star game was played in '33 at Comiskey Park.
Yeah, and so for people who are interested in the history of the All-Star game, that was big because the American League won 4-2. National League wore gray jerseys. The AL wore
that was irrelevant back in the day.
Yeah,
you wore white at home. Now you could have.
Now
they could
camouflage.
Have turquoise on.
And lo and behold, my favorite player ever hit the first home run in the All-Star game. That was the Bay. Babe Ruth launched a 2-run homer in the third inning to clinch the game for them. But first All-Star game played in Chicago, Comiskey Park, way back in 1933.
Now they might say Hank Aaron played in 25 in his 23-year career. Oh, the math doesn't add up. Well, as we said previously, there were two All-Star games, and let's not forget the obvious. They didn't play back then. See, now
that's everything.
I remember going to Forbes Field, you know, seeing McCovey and Mays and Maury Wills and this and that. That was it, buddy. When they played the Yankees in the World Series, you never, unless you saw them on Saturday baseball.
And what George is saying for you young fans who like our show, the American League and National League play interleague now. They all play each other.
Yeah.
At that time, National League played their teams, American League played their teams. So on All-Star night, I was a National League fan. I rooted hard for the National League. I had buddies who rooted hard for the American League. Well, a good old Hank Aaron, who gets so less recognition compared to Mays and Ruth, and he's just a great player. He deserves more. Played in 25 All-Star selections, and George made a point. 23 years. Well, from 59 to 62, they had two All-Star games. Like George said, one in the afternoon and one at night.
It's so, and I'm not saying, you notice I didn't use the word better. It's different now. You get down and they're playing the Yankees. Cleveland is playing the Reds. You go down and Pittsburgh's playing the Red Sox.
Right.
And it's just, and they all have the same agent or agents. And it's just, I remember one time, Hank Aaron went to Gibson's house and he had somebody, or Willie Mays, he might have bonds with, whatever it was, Gibson told him, don't bring him back here if I have to pitch against him.
Right.
That's how serious it was.
It was really serious. And also the big change at that time, smaller squads. So you got to see the best players play 5-6 innings. Today, they have All-Star. I'm telling you, I can't even count the numbers on the team.
I think it's 60, it's 67.
I can't even count.
It's obscene.
Yeah, it is.
You can't tell.
You're not really an All-Star.
No, it's the all pretty good now. See,
yeah, it is.
This is what the Hall of Fame.
Same thing.
The Hall of Pretty Good. We're not saying that Harold Baines wasn't a good player.
Hall of Famer.
But no, this is what you're up against. And how about the? Why would it be canceled? I think
twice it's been canceled.
Travel restrictions, World War II, and COVID.
Oh, you lived during that one, the COVID, but also World War II was big at that time in 1945, and they couldn't make it work. There was no chance.
Who would you guess has the most hits? We lost them recently. Who would you think has the most hits?
As soon as George said, we lost him, you should have guessed it and watching our show. Yeah, Say Hey Kid, Willie Mays, most hits, 23 hits in an All-Star competition. Lefty Gomez, way back in his time, had the most wins, 3 wins. Our favorite reliever of all time, Mariano Rivera.
GOAT. Now there's the GOAT.
Save 4. And every manager was smart enough to say, hey, we're going to save our best for last. They did. Roger Clemens, who if he didn't get into the steroids, he would be in the Hall of Fame for sure. He pitched in the most All-Star games with 10 appearances. I remember this game in 1983. Fred Linden.
Yes.
I didn't realize though it was the only grand
You know,
slam.
he got 2 new knees recently, so
Did
I've
he?
seen him like walking and
How about
doing
that?
different things, and that is something I think he's quite proud of.
Yeah, only grand slam in World Series history happened in 1983. Somebody I want you to look up is named Mel Harder. Played in 4 All-Star games. Never gave a run. 13 innings. That means old Mel was better than you heard of. Because I had to look up Mel Harder to see how good
And
he
how
was.
about who you're batting,
Pitching
who's
against,
batting,
right?
Yeah.
Yes. And lastly, Stan Musial has hit the most home runs in All-Star game with 6. Aaron and Musial are the 2 that I think are the most underrated superstars of all time. Nobody talks about Musial enough.
There's a old. Go ahead. There's
No, I was going to say, they always talk about Mays.
Oh, yeah.
Look up the stats. Now, I know Willie lost 2 years, but Aaron's stats are here and Mays' stats are here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, I don't understand why Mays gets the, no, I think it's because he's flamboyant, maybe because he missed 2 years, but Aaron's stats are unbelievable.
and his park wasn't very friendly.
No, it wasn't.
You know, never heard a bad word about Musial.
No.
And there's a great story about him that one year they had these things where you tear the ballot, and it ended up being a hoax in Cincinnati.
I remember that, George. I do remember
So they
that.
voted in their third baseman, voted in their shortstop, they voted in their second baseman. But guess who they voted in at first base?
Yeah, he couldn't
Stan
do
the
it.
Man. They could not. And from Denore, he's local.
Yeah, they couldn't even, think about that, Cincinnati fans says we
Yeah,
can't do
no,
it.
we can do the other spots, but we
can't do
can't
it.
leave the big
Yes.
man off. Now, we have some games here. We're combining historical significance, game quality, and then their remembrance. Like I was telling Al, there was one game, like 20 Hall of Famers. Well, my goodness.
Yeah, when we go through
not
our
saying best games.
All-Star games.
Yeah.
You could write down 8 7s and 5 4s and 3. That's fine. There are other things we looked at, and we'll go through them right now. Our favorite All-Star games of all time.
Yeah. 2008.
Well, that one was great with regards to the game itself. 15 innings it went. It also had big historical significance. It was the last game at the old Yankee Stadium. Now you have to remember.
And that's that place is a
yeah.
history lesson itself.
Yeah,
if
it
you've ever walked out there
With the monuments.
among the monuments
Yes.
and all, it is a history lesson.
So 2 things there: longest game and sentimental game for Yankee Stadium. 15 innings. Fitting conclusion. The game ended with Michael Young hitting a base loaded sacrifice fly with a 4-3 win in the 15th inning. The MVP was J.D. Drew.
See, if you gave me $1 million,
you wouldn't get that.
I would never go.
And that's the part I was going to bring that up.
Yep.
Here we are. We're talking about a significant game with 2 guys named Michael Young and J.D. Drew names coming up. So that's proof. That is proof that there's more to the All-Star game than meets the eye.
Well, how about hit it off of Edison Volquez? If you gave me 50 guesses,
He played for the Pirates.
would I have guessed that?
No.
No.
I wouldn't even know he made the All-Star.
No. Now here's one. Al and I have a favorite guy, and
Yes.
Tony Perez. You can have your analytics, you can have your little cards, you can have your pen protector.
They have everything.
You can have everything you want. Give me Tony Perez up in
Yes.
a tie game, and I'll live with the result.
Last time we said names that weren't too big. Well, on this game, Tony Perez hit the home run in the 15th inning off Catfish Hunter, another Hall of Famer, to win the game 2-1. The home runs in the game were Perez, Brooks Robinson, big time, and a guy who they've screwed forever.
Should be in the Hall of Fame.
Dick Allen, a
Without a doubt.
local guy from Wappa, PA.
Yes.
There were 30 strikeouts in the game. Proof again that pitching beats. good
Ferguson
hitting.
Jenkins, 6 up, boom, boom, 6 Ks. See, that's the kind of thing with these kind of Hall of Famers. We don't realize, and you never do at the time, what they'll become.
Right.
So you really.
Yeah, you can't predict that either, George. That's a good point.
Yep.
My favorite pitcher of all time pitched in that game, Tom Seaver, and then George has told many stories about Bob Gibson, how ferocious he was and how great he was. Yeah. So and also Jenkins and Hunter pitched in that game, which we already said. 1946 All-Star game had the second greatest hitter. I call him the second greatest hitter behind the Babe. And that's Ted Williams. He was 4 for 4 in the game.
2 homers, 5 RBI.
Yeah. Yes. He's just really spectacular. And also in that game was Bob Feller. You Indian fans, know Bob Feller well. Probably one of the three greatest players in Cleveland history. He pitched in that game also. George also first All-Star game he played after World War II. Now we can't do that justice.
No, listen, Bob Feller, why I've always had extra admiration for him and Ted Williams. They went, then they came back.
They did.
Hey, by the way, you know whose tail gunner Ted Williams was?
Who's that?
The astronaut John Glenn.
No way.
Yes, sir.
Wow, good trivia
Yeah, how
there,
about
George.
that?
Good
that
trivia.
is amazing.
Good
but
trivia.
These guys, you know, Mays might have hit 80 more homers. Williams might have hit 60 more homers, 70 more.
They would have.
Feller might have had 400 more strikes. Well, he would have.
Yeah. So you're talking about this was a historical one. The old timers we talked about the young crew. I'm hoping you're watching with your grandpa or great grandpa and say, "Wow, what was that like?" 1940 after World War II. That's a significant game. And Williams goes 4 for 4. The 1989 All-Star game. George probably he has to be one of the top 3 athletes of all time.
He's mine.
He's your top. He would be my top too.
Because Dion was great in football, but he was just okay in
That's
baseball.
why I would say, yeah. They all bring up Dion.
Bo Jackson.
We think Bo Jackson. George and I.
Oh, my
Yeah.
goodness.
Led off the first inning with a monster home run. I remember going out, and then he passed that baton on to 42-year-old Nolan Ryan. You sent me something today. You hurt his arm.
Yeah.
And the next pitch.
They said Nolan, throw one more. He threw it 97. See if his arm was all right.
Yes, Bo was the MVP of that game.
Yes.
It was short-lived because he had a devastating hip injury in a playoff game. Yeah, it was football, but.
I've seen him run. Remember the game he ran over Bosworth?
Yes.
That was history. Ran right over him, lowered his shoulder, ran right into the tunnel.
Yeah, his throwing arm, they
didn't move
everything
on.
about him. Bo
They
Jackson,
didn't move on.
He was spectacular in what he did. No
They didn't
question
move
about it.
on. And I saw a thing the other day. I guess he's got a little baby grandson, keeps watching the highlights over and over, and his wife said to the grandson, "Haven't you seen it enough?" And the kid says, "Pappy's my friend," he said. "I'm going to watch it again."
Pappy was a lot of people's friend the way he played. We mentioned the 33 All-Star game already at Comiskey Park. We highlighted Babe Ruth being the guy to hit it. It's the first ever All-Star game. And here's what happened. It made the game on the map. It put the game on the map. It became the true national pastime when they saw that All-Star game.
He became the Babe then, right?
Yes. And he's just cemented his place in history. It's an historical.
And we have to say this again for the young people. He's not William Bendick.
No, please.
Now, Kellen Cowherd is.
They're so stupid.
First of all,
they're so stupid.
Someone writes his stuff for him. But secondly, I think he thinks William Bendick is Babe Ruth.
He saw the movie.
Yeah, he saw the movie.
Babe was 6'2", 215. So today, if it was today, he'd be 6'2", 235. He was
with muscles ripping off his
arm. Him and Gary had.
Gary. He must have plowed one too many fields because that boy had natural strength. Oh my goodness!
Yeah, I know.
And so, see, that's what we miss. You can take this paper. What I miss is humility.
Praise the Lord, George.
Humility. Do you have to? It's a night draft. We didn't need sunglasses indoors.
No. Give the credit to somebody else, please. That's all I want you to do.
Please, it'll come back on you. It'll come back on you.
Don't pound your back at playing thing every time. It happens all the time. It's set talking about. Talking about a guy who wasn't humble. And that leads us right to his 1971 All-Star, and that's Reggie Jackson.
Yeah.
Because of the distance on his home run.
Oh.
It stands out. I remember flying over the Detroit.
That was Detroit.
Yeah.
Although it reminds you of one of them in the movie that Robert Redford hit. That's what it was, only it was real.
520 feet. So they're talking about 425 feet today. Like, man, you got to see this home run.
How about the Hall of Famers in that game?
That's the one you were talking about, ain't it?
Go ahead.
Johnny Bench, best catcher of all time. Harmon killer hitter. Clemente, nobody's arm ever like him.
Great one.
Aaron, I've already talked about. Frank Robinson played at the same time. Poor Frank Robinson, if he played today, they'd be saying, "You got to see this guy play." they thought he was the fourth guy. You're looking.
I got a little
Mays,
Frank Robinson story. Well, first of all, player cut. Man,
yeah,
whatever.
Mays, Aaron, and Clemente, and then they said, "Oh, and Frank Robinson played too."
Yeah. Oh, they only have 500 some homers. Yeah. I have a great Frank Robinson story. And back in the day, when Al and I were younger, the best athlete played center field, and then shortstop would be. Well, in his high school team, Frank played one field, Veda Pinson played the other field, and guess who the center fielder was? John Brody.
Yeah, look up John Brody if you don't know who he is.
Look up John Brody.
And we'll tell you, give you a hint. He was a quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers.
Didn't he join the senior golf tour? He was that
good. He was really good there too.
Yeah.
But that's how good an athlete he was.
Yes, that's true.
Veda Pinson played for the Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah.
Frank Robinson played for the Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah.
John Brody played at center field. 1955 All-Star game. We mentioned this guy already. They called him Stan the Man.
Mm-hmm.
Stan the Man Musial. It was the 55 All-Star game in Milwaukee. The great comeback of all All-Star games.
They were down 5-0, is that correct?
They were down 5-0, is correct, George. They came back with a 6-5 victory and a dramatic 12-inning, yes, walk-off homer. Now, there's nothing more exciting in today's games from 8 years old to Major League. You'll see them pouring water, pouring those walk-offs. But this was in an All-Star game. It's a walk-off homer by the great Stan Musial.
How about 49, though? Bigger significance. Bigger significance. First time black players played in the All-Star.
You want to say that again?
Remember now, it's not that long ago. Everybody acts like...
It's 60 years. Yes, that's 60 years ago. It ain't like it was in the 1700s.
No.
No. The 1949 All-Star game, after World War II came around, it featured the first black guys to play in the All-Star game.
Jackie Robinson started the game, but guys like Dobie, Newcomb, they came in later. Roy Campanella, one of the true greats.
Yeah, so the AL won the game 11-7. There was a lot of errors in the game. Wasn't played well. The Maggio brothers played in it, drove in 4 runs. They had just won 12 out of 16 games, the American League.
And back then it meant something.
It's everything.
See, today,
no
shine today.
No, they got. I'm gonna make a number up. They got $2,000 or $200 when their salaries were $7,000.
They can't make them come today. No, that's what happened with the football game before it was canceled. You know, they used to be the money. Then it was the trip to Hawaii. Then they started flying the whole line to Hawaii, and the game was dead.
Yeah, in baseball, we just had our regular show, and it has to do with the All-Star game. Because we didn't complete it like this, but we know there's going to be 7 players that instead of being an honor to go to the All-Star game,
shin splints.
They're going to say this. Yeah, I got a right toe injury. I can't go. Yeah. They just don't want to be a part of it. That's what it's lowered down to, and it's a shame because it was gigantic.
In the '70 game, I have a different view of that game than almost everyone.
Give the view, George.
Well, what happened? Pete Rose ran his buddy Ray Fosse over and knocked him out of sports for life. And the take that everybody has is, oh, he's aggressive, he's playing heads up, Charlie. In my mind, that's not the spot for that.
Yeah, not many guys would do it. But that's how much the NL and the AL did not get along then.
That's true.
I mean, they were not buddies at all. I have to understand as fans. They didn't have the same agents. They didn't talk they didn't see each other during the year. No. Unless they were riding a bus by each other or on a train station or an airport.
No.
So when put YouTube on and put the 1970 All-Star game on, you'll see Rose come around third, drill Ray Fosse, who was an Indian.
He actually left his feet almost and went right shoulder to right shoulder.
Oh, it's a memorable image, no question.
And I think the game was important. It was a big game, but I don't think that was the place
I get that. And I can see other people saying that. But if you ask Rose and Fosse,
Fosse never cried about it.
This All-Star game, it was not like today. That game was all out to win it. They kept their good players in. That's all you got to know.
Yeah, they were still in the game. Good point. No, Rose is still in the game.
They're still in the game to win.
Today, he would be showered, shaved, and on the plane to the ESPYs. Literally.
No, we mean that.
Not figuratively.
This was the 12th inning. And Rose and Fosse were still in the game. They played to win the game. it was just so different.
And let's talk about that. We got a few minutes left. When you talk about the All-Star game, we saved one that has some great names in it. But today, like next week, those guys, they'll think of every excuse in the world. Some guys will throw their pitchers on Saturday or Sunday deliberately. So they can't pitch Tuesday.
That's what they'll do. And especially if you're in a pennant race. If they're in a pennant race and they want their pitchers to start out the next Thursday Friday, whenever they open up,
yeah,
they'll say
not available.
He's unavailable because his arm hurts. Mm-hmm. Or they'll throw him and say, we're going to throw him 5 innings so he can't pitch. And it's so different. We can't put the magnitude. I can put the magnitude because I told you I wouldn't miss that game for nothing.
No, I don't know.
I was a National League fan. When they announced Roberto Clemente, I would stand up because I never saw the American League play. I would root for Roberto. Today I'll watch it, but I'll watch it with an eye on Bonanza.
Yeah, because it's lost its luster.
It has no luster.
They play. How many times have you seen? I've seen the American League play 1,000 times.
I don't know the rules for sure. Maybe fans know. I don't know the rule. If it goes extra innings, I think they have a cutoff date. I think they can't play.
Well, do you remember the year?
I don't think they can keep playing.
Remember the most heat they ever took was when they let that game be a tie.
Yes, I don't know what so I said I don't know.
They were out of players.
I don't have any rules now or what the rules are, but whatever the rules are, they don't want to keep playing.
No,
they want to get out of there.
It's along the lines of that stupid runner on second base. Didn't start the 10th inning. That should be reason to be fired.
Think about
that. For that commissioner, the guy who called the World Series trophy a piece of metal.
He has to call and say, listen, we have to go back to the new rule. Your job is to save your pitchers. Instead of throwing righty, lefty in the fifth, sixth,
how about an opener? How about an opener? How long's he going, Shelby? Oh, 5 batters. Really?
Yeah. Instead of
you
pitching
playing
fifth,
for this?
6th, 7th, and 8th, you pitch 6 pitchers, and then all of a sudden it goes extra innings, and you end up pitching your shortstop. I paid a lot of money not to see the shortstop pitch with a guy on second base. That's not it.
And this is what the game's evolved into, and because of the obscene, and I say obscene amounts of money. See, Al and I, we talk about this. I don't mind Ohtani's salary.
Right.
I don't mind Trout's if he plays.
Uh-huh.
But this idea, when a guy can make, like Chapman can make $11 million and have a walk per inning.
Yeah. It's happening on every team. You know, they have to sign somebody. They have to get a name in there that show the fans they care. But we know they stink. And we're thinking, they just paid this guy $23 million.
For what?
Yes, it doesn't make any, and it's all in all sports. We're covering the All-Star game today, but it's a runaway in All-Star. 1941 All-Star game.
Yeah, let's get to that. That's the big one.
Yeah, this was played in Tiger Stadium, showcasing 2 of the greatest players of all time, Ted Williams and Joe DiMaggio. They were big rivals, Joe.
What do you think about
They were rivals.
That? Now, Williams hit 400 the year DiMaggio had the 56-game hitting streak, but DiMaggio would not come back to Yankee Stadium.
I know, it's a true story.
Unless he was announced last and announced as the greatest living Yankee.
Yeah,
he would not come back.
That's how sad that is. That's a sad commentary.
Ted Williams had an ego too.
Oh, they both did. Don't. I mean, I say about the ability today. These 2 guys had. I will say this. I said Williams was the second best hitter ever. DiMaggio was a better overall player there. Player, much better defensively, much better base runner. Yeah. So when you go down, but it's a great All-Star game. Williams hit a dramatic walk-off, 2-out, 3-run homer in the bottom of the 9th inning. A 4-run rally that gave the American League a 7-5 win. DiMaggio would also add 1 hit in the game, but Ted got the honor in this one. It was in 1941. Just a little bit later on.
We'll talk about that 41 a little bit because DiMaggio, that's the year that he hit the 56 games. Yes. I think he made an out and hit like 17.
He did.
But Williams went 400. And there's a legendary story there with Williams. There was a doubleheader
True story, though. True.
And the manager said, "Hey, Ted, you're hitting 402. Why don't you sit this one out?"
Right.
No such
Because I
luck.
can't do it.
Played both games, had like,
And ended up 406.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
406.
you know his confidence level was out of this world. He didn't think it was a pitcher to get him out.
now they
And,
claimed he could see the red dot. Now, I've never had this verified, but I have a similar story. Jeff Kent was taking his eye test, and he was down to 2015. I don't know if you've ever had, that's pretty small.
Yeah.
I was trying to check it out my last eye.
You're not gonna see it.
No. So next one.
And you have good ears.
Next
but
was
not good eyes.
2010. Next was 2010.
Yeah.
So-
It was the first walk-off homer, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It was the first
Yeah.
one. You know, huh?
But to tell you about his eyes was Williams. So they're giving Kent this eye test, and finally gets down. Guys, okay, Jeff, next line. Kent looks at it.
You
and
can't see it.
He says, well, he says, no one can see that. You know what the eye doctor said? Barry can. Barry Bonds. So if you correlate any type of great vision
Yes.
with Ted Williams,
And Barry Bonds.
Bonds
right.
had it. There's something to it.
Something to do with that hitting.
Yeah, because they claimed that Ted Williams, all he needed to do was see the dot. And if he saw the dot, he'd read the spin, and
He could tell he was.
the rest was history.
Other people couldn't see the dot.
No, that's true.
In this
That's
game,
true.
Feller again came up. He pitched. Erky Vaughn had 2 home runs for the Pirates.
Pirate shortstop.
And this game, they still talk about it. Bob Costas and that crew. That's the one they talk about a lot because the splendid splinter ended it. When you talk all-star games, for me, George, I always root for the great players to come through, the best players.
Okay.
That's what I wanted to happen. I said, listen, if it's an all-star, I want that guy to shine. And when you hear the name Williams
No, it's
and Ruth
Ruth.
and Mays
Yes.
and Musial,
Yes.
that's why they're Hall of Famers. That's what I believe they're Hall of Famers to me. You know,
And you want them to step up in a game like
yeah,
that.
and they normally do.
Yeah, they do.
You understand, the Hall of Famers
Yes.
step up. And in today's world, young guys will ask me about that, and that's my
Mm-hmm.
answer. I know these. He had I'm going to say 2,700 hits, but he played 25 seasons. You can accumulate stats in every sport. I want somebody in a big moment
Who was the best player of their
to
time.
step up.
Like, in other words, when their time was there, whether it be Koufax, whether it be Ted
All
Williams,
the big names,
Willie
yes.
Mays we lost recently.
Rivera. That's he's proof that as dinosaur as I am, I'm not a true dinosaur. I don't go back and say Gossage is better. There was one. Rivera's the best, and he's modern. He just retired a couple years ago. And if you're a modern great player, I'll call it out. But I don't want a guy who gets stats and gets in the Hall of Fame because he played 25 years and has stats lined up.
He's an accumulator.
Yeah, that's accumulated. That's
And
right.
then we talk about it in football. It's one of our worst thoughts in our minds is when a guy just hangs on to
To get
throw
his
the
stats.
ball another, so many years. I thought Roethlisberger hung on at the end.
He did.
Last year or two. Had he quit earlier, it wouldn't have tarnished his image in any way. He was a fabulous quarterback, a sure Hall of Famer.
Yeah, didn't have to hang on.
No.
Yeah, for these guys we're talking about, you young guys, you need to talk to your grandpa, and then go to YouTube and watch these highlights. Everything's on there now.
Yeah.
And you'll get a grand eye opener. Wow, I didn't know he did that. I didn't know he did that. That's what these all-stars did.
Right. Hey, thanks again for watching Bottom Line Sports Talk. We hope you enjoyed our special.